as of yesterday morning, that island was 89% white, monochromatic, and utterly homogenous. Nearly everybody there was a rich Democrat. 80% voted for Joe Biden. The median home price was over $1 million. And then, in a single blessed moment, everything changed. Relief arrived from an unlikely source. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, having made his own state a paradise, decided to help other states desperately in need. So yesterday, DeSantis sent 50 illegal aliens, most of them from Venezuela, to the Martha's Vineyard airport. They traveled from San Antonio to the Florida Panhandle and finally to their new home on Martha's Vineyard. CBS Boston reports that after landing, the group wandered about 3.5 miles from the airport into town, thereby instantly improving it. You can imagine the unrestrained jubilation on Martha's Vineyard tonight. Long-suffering islanders finally rescued from their own oppressive whiteness. In fact, let's go there now to check in on the celebrations. Well, that's not expected. Obviously, there's been a mistake. No, our producers are telling us there are no technical problems. That is, in fact, a live shot from Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, right now. But where were the weeping, joyful crowds? Where was the champagne and the ticker tape? We expected Times Square on VJ Day. What we got was a cemetery at midnight. What? But maybe it's not so confusing. Maybe things aren't as they seem. Our first clue is Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a part-time resident of Martha's Vineyard. Obama is also, of course, as you know, the country's greatest proponent of diversity. For years, Obama earnestly told us that immigrants were better than Americans. They were holy. They make our country strong.
America is and always has been a nation of immigrants. Throughout our history, immigrants have come to our shores in wave after wave from every corner of the globe. Every one of us, unless we're Native American, has an ancestor who was born somewhere else. That's what makes America special. That's what makes us strong. The basic idea of welcoming immigrants to our shores is central to our way of life. It is in our DNA.
Sometimes I feel I've got to.
So that was basically the whole presidency right there for 8 years. Obama hectoring us about diversity. But he didn't just talk about it. He spent his 2 years in office making certain that places like Des Moines, Iowa, and Portland, Maine became much less white than they previously had been, because as he so often told us, whiteness is bad. It's a disease. So we recall being a little confused when we read that Barack Obama had spent $12 million to buy an 8-bathroom oceanfront property on Martha's Vineyard, which is one of the whitest places on earth. Really, Martha's Vineyard? Why not Baltimore? Or Gary, Indiana? Is there really no real estate left in Detroit for the Obama family compound? There's got to be. What's going on here? We didn't know. And then in 2019, Michelle Obama explained it to us. Listen to this.
We grew up in the period, as I write, called white flight. Yeah. That is, families like ours, upstanding families like ours, who were doing everything we were supposed to do and better. As we moved in, white folks moved out because they were afraid of what our families represented. And I always stop there when I talk about this out in the world because, I want to remind white folks that y'all were running from us, and you're still running. Because we're no different than the immigrant families that are moving in, the families in Pilsen, the families that are coming from other places to try to do better. And so, yeah, I feel a sense of injustice.
So there she was, reminding white folks who badly needed reminding that the Obamas are, quote, no different from the immigrant families moving in because white people hate them too. They're still running, as she just said. So that explained it to us. The Obamas were, in fact, despised immigrants. So when they moved to a $12 million seaside compound on Martha's Vineyard, the point is not to live in luxury with other rich people. No, obviously, the point is to diversify Martha's Vineyard, to strike a blow for justice. That made sense to us, and we felt better. Because a plane load of highly diverse immigrants arrived on Martha's Vineyard to join the Obamas. But The Obamas didn't welcome them. There was not a word from Barack or Michelle Obama. Barack wasn't waiting at the airport to greet the diversifiers with flowers. He didn't issue a statement of congratulations. He didn't invite a single Venezuelan to his home. How come? Could it be that Barack Obama isn't really, actually, in real life, in favor of diversity at all? Could it be that Barack Obama strongly prefers blonde SoulCycle moms in Lululemon to sweaty third world campesinos in dirty work pants? Could it be? We can't say. But we can tell you that if you want to find out what people really think, go ahead and ignore what they say and watch how they live. And by that measure, the one that matters, Barack and Michelle Obama are every bit as bigoted as any board member at any restricted country club in the Deep South, assuming those still exist. Those people? They're not dating my daughter, I can tell you that. So in other words, we learned this week that Barack Obama really is a racist, and not in the way you've always assumed. Obama may hate white people, he certainly seems to, but he also demands to live around them, and only them. But the Obamas, to be fair, are not alone in this. His friends at the news networks in Washington, New York, and Los Angeles feel exactly the same way because they're exactly the same sort of people. CNN, for example, spent the day interviewing people connected in some way to Martha's Vineyard. Turns out that precisely none of them were excited about the plane load of Venezuelans. One of them, the state rep for the island, even blamed this show for the sudden blessed surge in diversity. Watch this.
Ron DeSantis and Republicans might want to play political games with people's lives. I believe that's incredibly inhumane to be using women and children and families as a political pawn that you can then talk about on Tucker Carlson and pretend to be tough on immigration.
Wow. So see if you can follow the argument here. When penniless illegal aliens show up in Brownsville, Texas, one of the poorest cities in the United States, they are noble strivers. They're looking for a better life in this country, and we applaud them. Good luck in Brownsville, newly arrived immigrants. But when these very same people jump the moat and get a free flight to Martha's Vineyard, it's something else entirely. It is, as the state rep just told you, quote, playing political games with people's lives. Because it's dangerous. These immigrants could wander into a clam bake by accident, or worse, much worse.
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch!
Earlier today, CNN anchor John Berman, who's got fired, by the way, this morning, John Berman interviewed noted filmmaker Ken Burns. Burns is famous, but sad, exactly the kind of middle-aged prestige hound who spends an awful lot of time looming around Martha's Vineyard looking for other famous people. Burns has a new film out that blames the United States, of all countries on earth, for the Holocaust. Now that the World War II generation has passed, Ken Burns can do that. There's no chance angry veterans will show up at his house and beat him with their canes for besmirching the memory of their closest friends who died in their early 20s fighting the Nazis. So Ken Burns can say whatever he wants, and many will believe him. So this morning, Burns played the role of Holocaust expert on CNN. And you know what Ken Burns has discovered? Ken Burns has discovered that Ron DeSantis sending illegal aliens to Martha's Vineyard is pretty much exactly what Hitler did. Pretty much exactly. Watch this.
All of your documentaries are about history.
Yeah.
But all of them also make you think about where we are now. And we woke up to the news this morning that Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida sent 2 plane loads of migrants to Martha's Vineyard off the coast of Massachusetts, including kids and whatnot. And I'm not saying this is not a one-for-one. This is not a parallel here in any way. But it does address some of the same themes.
This is the coming straight out of the authoritarian playbook. This is what's so disturbing about DeSantis, is to use human beings, to weaponize human beings for a political purpose.